Hello and good afternoon, CSI135 Section 400 students at the Anne Arundel Community College campus. This is going to be your Lab 9 solution set, and so this is going to walk you through step by step how you would find the file on the class system and how you would tar up some directories and how you would move those over to a virtual machine. The ultimate goal being is that you want to be able to tar up all of your work from Vader this semester, move it onto the virtual machine, which is on your external hard drive you bring to class each week, and then to copy that external hard drive contents off to your local machine. That way you can have all your work. So on the left hand side of the screen you can see I'm logged into the system Vader as a student account, and we'll type in mail, and Lab 9 was the activity that we needed to do. So we'll get Lab 9 up here. Okay, and over on the right hand side you can see here I've got my Ubuntu virtual machine. Now I'm demonstrating this on my Mac, so this is being done in VMware Fusion, as you can see up here, and I'm running version 5.0.3. Version 6.0 is out, I just haven't upgraded yet. So here's my Ubuntu virtual machine, and we're gonna pretend as if this virtual machine was one of the virtual machines that I've got on my external hard drive. Okay, so the first step says load a Fedora VM of your choice if you've not created one already. If you have already created a Fedora VM, choose any other VM that you have not already experimented with to this point. So I went ahead and I chose Ubuntu. And so here is my Ubuntu VM, and I'm all logged in and ready to go. So find the file on the system Vader with the name in-class-activity 1120.2013.tar.bz2. So it's a file that's been, or a series of files that have been tarred, and they've also been compressed with the bzip2 compression algorithm. So if you remember from, let me quit here, if you remember from earlier in the week, the way to find a file, irrespective of its location, as long as you have permissions to search in the directories, is, whoops, with the following command. So -name, and we're going to go ahead and cut and paste this guy here. So copy and paste, and then we're going to say print, and I don't want to see the error messages, so I'll say 2 greater than /dev/null. And so what this is going to do is it's going to go through and look, and there's some students that also have the file, but you can clearly see this is the file that you should be looking for. So it's in /temp/I will bet you didn't think the file was here, did you, in class activity. Now there are a number of ways that we can achieve this task once we have found the file. Excuse me. Because it says once you've located the file, you will need to SCP the file off the system Vader and onto your newly created VM. And so here's my Ubuntu VM over here. So I have found the file. Now I could use this absolute path name starting with /temp and SCP the file over, but it might be easier for me to simply copy that file, and that's what a number of students did here. You could see B10 and B4 copied the file into their home directory. So I'm going to copy, and we'll get the whole name here, and we'll say copy and paste, dot, right? So it's copy/temp, so forth and so on, all the way down to the file name, and then the period for the current working directory, which, in this case, is my home directory. So now when I type ls, you can see I have the in-class activity file right here. Okay, now the next step, I need a terminal window over here in my Ubuntu. So I can go to -home, and you'll see that the terminal window shows up right here. I could also use xterm, but I prefer terminal. So I'll click on the terminal window, and as you can see, and let me enlarge this a little bit here, as you can see, I'm now logged in, and I've got a terminal window on my Ubuntu virtual machine. And again, we're going to act as if this is on the external hard drive that we bring to class each week. So if I type who, we can see who's logged onto the system, TP Bonfi. If I type which SCP, let's make sure that SCP is here, and it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and I like to organize things. So if I say ls-lai, you can see that I've got all kinds of directories and folders, right? But I'm going to go ahead and make one called AACC, and I'm going to cd into AACC. I'm going to make another one called lab, whoops, we'll do lab number 9, and I'll cd into lab number 9. So now, if I clear my screen and I type pwd, it's also displayed in my prompt right? Remember, the tilde represents the home directory /AACC/lab number 9, because I'm going to pull all those files in here. Okay, so now I would type in SCP and CSI135-400 at vader.aacc.edu :/ and now the name of the file that I'm trying to copy. And it's going to be this file right here. So let's copy that name there. And let's bring it over here. And let's, oh, it's not going to work, and that's okay. Don't know if I've installed the VMware utilities to allow me to copy and paste back and forth. So I can just could actually make it even easier. So IN, and then I'll do CLASS, and then asterisk. So any file that starts with IN CLASS is going to be copied, and I'm going to SCP it. And where do I want to put it? I want to put it right here. So remember, it's the SCP utility followed by username of the system to which I am going to SCP, and then the fully qualified domain name, so vader.aacc.edu, and you definitely need this if you're doing it from outside of the school system. In class with our hard drives, you may be able to get away with just Vader, but it's always good to put in the fully qualified domain name. Almost said absolute path name there. All right, and then a colon, and then the absolute path name to the location of the file you wish to SCP over, and then a space, and then the period represents the current working directory. So what I'm saying is, copy that file. We're going to put it right here into tilde/AACC/lab9. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. Since this is the first time I've established a connection with the Vader system, it's going to ask me, are you sure you want to continue to connect? It shows me the RSA fingerprint for the SCP connection. I'm going to say yes, and now it's going to ask me for my password to the system Vader. And let me see if I can remember my password here. Okay. And one of the nice things about SCP is it gives you some nice verbose output. Shows you the transfer speed, 7 kilobytes a second. It shows you how many bytes. It looks like 668 bytes, and we'll be able to see that in a second. And then 100% completed, and it completed pretty quick. It shows here that it was 0 seconds. So if I type ls-lai, and sure enough, it was 668 bytes, right? Shows it right there, which matches up with what we see here from the copy. Okay, so now we know that we've got the file here. Let's scoot back over, see the next step. It says, well, should say uncompress. So uncompress and untar the file to reveal the 5 scripts. Your task is to fix all 5 scripts so that they function properly. And it says, note, the logic of the scripts is solid or correct. You'll be dealing with syntactical errors in each of the scripts. So what that means is there's syntax errors. I haven't changed the logic of the script so that it logically is broken. Okay, so let's go ahead and uncompress. So I'll do bzip2-dv, and the D is for decompress, and the V is for verbose, and in-class activity.bz.tar, .tar.bz2. All right, it looks like it's completed. So let's take a look. So yep, we're left with the tar file. So let me clear my screen here, do an ls-lai. So now that we have the file, the tar command, remember, there is no command untar. In order to untar the file, you have to call the tar utility with options. And so if you only wanted to see what was in that file, you could do tvf and then in-class activity, and it's going to show me, again, this isn't untarring the file, this is simply showing me what is in the file, right? The contents of this tar ball. And you can see it's scripts 1 through 5. Okay, so to untar the file, we would do xvf. And again, the X is to untar it, the V is for verbose output, and the F is now going to be followed. That signifies a file name is going to follow. So we'll say in-class activity.tar. So now it's untarred the files. So let's do an ls-lai. So you can see not only do we have the in-class activity tar file still, that does have all 5 scripts. So if I were to rerun the tvf command, you can see that the tar file is still intact. But now I have the 5 scripts here that have been untarred. All right, so let's take a look at each script. So we'll vi script number 1.bash. Okay, so you can see we've got the magic number at the top here, followed by bin bash. So the first thing you'll notice is we've misspelled bash. So that's one error. So I'm going to go ahead and correct that. Then we're going to come down and take a look at the if-then. right? So if the number of command line arguments is 0, then echo, this won't work, dude. Now you'll notice we have closing double quotes here, but the double quotes never start. So let's go ahead and add those double quotes in as well. So echo, double quotes, this won't work, dude, and then end your quotes. Now, done is typically not used with if. And so if you remember, in order to end the if statement, we use phi. Okay, so those were your errors. The first error was that bash was misspelled. The second error was that there was no double quotes to begin the echo statement. And the third error was that done was at the end of the script instead of phi. So let's save the script. Plus X, and I'll do star bash. We'll change everything to executable now. So now if I run script 1.bash, it says this won't work, dude. We didn't provide any arguments. So now if I do provide, let's say, just a fake argument, we get nothing back as you would expect. All right, so those were the errors, and that's how you fix script 1. Let's take a look at script number 2.bash. Okay, so immediately we see that we've got issues here on the top line, right? So instead of the pound sign and then the bang, we had bang pound, so we'll do straighten the magic number out, and then the absolute path name to the bash shell. Now it's not bash bin, so let's save out, let's take a look. Where is bash? It's bin bash, right, on this system, and it's typically found in bin bash. Sometimes you may find it in user local bin bash, but it's definitely on bin bash. So let's take a look at script 2 again. Let's pull that back up. Whoops. Okay, so bash bin is not correct, so it's /bin/bash, so the magic number has been fixed. And so we have 4 users in. It's going to cat the etc password file, and we've seen this command multiple times. And what this is going to do is it's going to awk, and the field separator is the colon, and we know from past experience that the colon is the field separator for the 7 fields in the password file, in each line in the password file. And we're going to print the first field. So we're printing the user ID. So 4 users in, and then it's going to cat out the user ID, do, and then we're going to echo, did you know that $users has an account on Vader? Now, the first error was the bin bash. The second error, again, you can see the echo statement starts with double quotes, but we don't have any double quotes at the end. So let's put those at the end. Then we sleep for 1 second, and then we end our script with phi. Now, just the reverse of the first script that we looked at, script number 1, you can see here that if it starts with the do, right, if the control structure is do, it's not phi that closes it, it's actually done. And I always like to put a little reminder that this is actually the end of the file, because if you're dealing with hundreds of lines of code, it's always nice to know that you have something there that tells you you're at the end of the file. All right, so let's go ahead and save this off, and let's run script number 2.bash and see what that actually looks like. Oh, so etc password, no such file or directory. Now that's interesting because we know there's a password file, but if you look closely, you can see that there are 3 S's in password. So this is one more error that needs to be resolved. So we'll come down here, take away the extra S, save the file, and now we'll run this again. And as you can see, it's echoing out the system users, which are showing up right in this column right here. I'm going to let this complete. There aren't too many accounts on this virtual machine, and you should see TP bond fee as well. And so that's basically what this is doing. So the first error, and I'm going to pull the script up here in a second. We'll let this finish out. The first error was the magic number and then the absolute path name to the bash shell executable on the system. The second error was the password file had an additional, and there we go, we're all finished. The second error was the password file had an additional S in the name. And then the third error, and let me go ahead and clear the screen here, and we'll cat script 2. So the first error was the magic number and the bin bash. The second error was the password file had an extra S. The third error was that the double quotes did not enclose the entire statement after echo. And then the fourth and final error was that phi should have been done, because if the do control structure is what starts it, done is what closes the do, what terminates the do statement. Okay, let's take a look at script number 3, script number 3.bash. Okay, so again, you can see here we've got the magic number is wrong, and so we're going to fix that. And then we have bin sash, and so that's misspelled, so we'll do bin bash. Okay, we have echo dash in, and what that means, it's going to prompt the user for input. As you can see here, we did not close this out with the double quotes, so we need to add the double quotes in. So we're going to prompt the user for their name, we're going to read in name, and then it's going to echo, dude, your name is $your_name. So we have two mistakes here. The first mistake is the $your_name does not correspond with the variable that has been read in. So if we were to run this script right now, if I were to run script number 3, enter your name, buddy, I'll put Travis. And as you can see, we've got some errors. The first error says unexpected into file while looking for matching double quotes. So this should be an immediate indicator that you have a statement somewhere that is not terminated or enclosed within double quotes. So you may have one set of the quotes or you may be missing more. So script3.bash line 10 unexpected into file. So we'll deal with that one in turn. So let's VI that file again. And as you come down here, you can see that we start with this echo statement with the double quotes. We're calling the variable or trying to get the value out of the variable your_name. And I'm going to go ahead and enclose that in double quotes. So we'll fix that, but let's run it again because we're still going to have some challenges. So I'll put in Travis, and you can see that it says, dude, your name is, but then it doesn't echo out the name. And the reason for that is we're reading in the variable name, but we're trying to get the value out of a variable that has never been declared. So there's a couple ways we could fix this. I could change name to your_name, and that would work. Or I can just come down here and remove your underscore and leave it as name. So let's do that. We'll save the file. We'll run the script again. Enter your name. My name is Travis. And there you go. Dude, your name is Travis. All right, so that was script number 3. Now let's take a look at script number 4.bash. Okay, again, the magic number was wrong. So it says bash user bin, and that is certainly not where it's located. So the absolute path name to bash on this system is /bin/bash. All right, so we're going to echo for the age of the individual. So it says, how old are you? And it's asking for a value to be input, and then it's going to read in age. And so here, this is syntactically correct. It's basically checking, it says, if your age is less than 0, or the age that's entered is greater than 120, which means you're less than 0 or you're more than 120 years old, then echo, welcome to our planet. And as you can see here, echo statement, a very common mistake is to forget to close that echo statement off with the double quotes. And we exit with a status of 99, and then there's a phi. And then it says echo, so if you're older than 0 and less than 120, it's going to echo, you are not too old yet. And again, common mistake, the double quotes, right? Now, we have a phi down here that doesn't actually correspond to an if statement, because the first if statement, which is this if statement here, is terminated with this phi closing it out. So this is just simply extraneous, and we can go ahead and remove that guy. All right, so let's see if this script works. So I'll do /script4.bash. It says, how old are you? And I'm going to say 44. And then as we would expect, it says you're not too old yet. If I run it again, and I say I'm 158, it says welcome to our planet. Let's run it one more time, and I'll put in -5 and see what it does. Again, so -5 is less than 0, so it says welcome to our planet, because you can't be less than 0, and chances are you're not over 120. All right, so that was script number 4. Now let's take a look at script number 5. Okay, so here again, you can see we've got an issue with the magic number. It should be #bang. So we'll correct that, and then bin bash. So it's echo, what is your first name? And then it reads in first_name. So if the name is not equal to Travis, or if that string, right, does not correspond to a capital T, lowercase r, lowercase a, vi, and s, you can see here then, right, we've got a mistake there. It should be then. Echo, dude, you aren't Travis. Whoops, let's remove that one there. And very common mistake, make sure that you enclose, especially if you have any special characters in there in your echo statement. And then we have a phi that closes it out. So let's go ahead and run this script, ./script5.bash. What's your first name? I'll say Bob. All right. So we have a unary operator expected. So we've got a problem here. So let's go back into script number 5. And let's see if maybe something's not right. So as you can see, and I've kind of waiting for you to kind of come to the conclusion, is similar to what we just saw. So we're reading in the variable is first underscore name, but what am I checking? I'm checking to see if $name is equal to Travis. So the variable that I create here and the value that I read into it, which is what the user enters in, is first underscore name. So to fix it, I would have to either remove first or change my variable name. All right. So now let's give it a try and see what happens. What is your first name? So I'll say Bob, and it says, dude, you aren't Travis. Let's run it again. And I'll put in Travis this time. And you'll notice nothing happens. Excuse me. Nothing happens, but that's by design. So if we wanted to change script 5 and maybe have it give some feedback, if this test fails, right? So if the username is not Travis, it says, dude, you're not Travis. But what if it is Travis? So maybe we'll put down here, welcome. And we could put Travis, but let's put $first underscore name. All right, so now when Travis runs the script, let's run the script, and I put in Travis, you can see it says welcome Travis. Okay, so those are the 5 solutions for each of the 5 scripts that needed to be fixed. As you can see here, they've all been fixed. So I'm going to go ahead, and the next thing that the lab asks you to do is it says, once you believe I'll have all the errors corrected, you should notify me and I'll watch you demonstrate that the scripts work properly, which we just did. Finally, we're going to retar the newly improved and working scripts, then compress them, and then move them onto the Vader system by placing them in the temp directory. Once you've finished, send me an email letting me know that you're done. So we want to tar this back up, but do we really want the tar file that has the bad scripts? Probably not. So let's remove in-class-activity.tar. All right, so let's see what we've got now. Okay, so there's my 5 scripts. So remember, to create a tar file, it's tar cvf, C for create, the V for verbose, so it's going to give us some feedback while it's doing the tar process, and F for the file name. And so the file name I'm going to use is the file name that I'd like to have when the file's created. So we'll say CSI135-400 underscore lab9.tar. And it's important that you put the .tar at the end because the file that's being created is a tar file. Not only does it make it easier to identify, but it gives you a clear indication that this is a conglomeration of other files, right? That it's a tar file that contains multiple other files, possibly directories. And then what do I want to tar? I want to tar the current working directory, which is simply these 5 scripts. So I'll hit enter, and you can see here, this is our verbose output. We do get one error message. This is very common. You see the same thing on the Vader system. And all this is telling you is, it says tar : and it gives you the name of the tar file that we've just created. So if you think about it, it says file is the archive, not dumped. And what that means is that inside the tar file I just created, it's not going to place a copy of the same tar file. So if I were to type in, let's list out what's in here now, and we should see our tar file. Here it is, right? So if I were to do a tar tvf on CSI135-400 underscore lab9.tar, you can see the contents are simply the scripts, because this file is actually opened and created on the system prior to the tar command creating and adding in all of the files. So as it goes to add the files in, it's going to see that this file's been opened because that file has to be there in order for us to create this tar file. But what it tells us at the end is that that file will not be included inside the contents of the file, which is as what you would expect. All right, so now we're going to go in the reverse direction with the scp command. So let's see what we have. Let's actually clear the screen here, start with a clean slate. So we'll take a look at our files. So you can see there's our tar file. If I wanted to save a little time, and again, since these are 5 text files, very small, but, oops, I'm sorry, I could go ahead, we'll do bzip2, and I'll say -v, and we'll run that on the CSI tar file. So it saved about 93%, but again, it was about 10 kilobytes, so not a whole lot. So now we're down to 653 bytes. So not terribly large. This is going to be a very quick transfer. So I'm going to say SCP, and I'm going to give the name of the file I want to transfer, which is CSI135-B25. And where do I want to send it? So CSI135-B25 at vader.aacc.edu, and we need to put it in the temp directory. So I'm going to hit enter. It's going to ask for my password on the Vader system. Let me make sure I get this right. And it's possible, yeah, I could have gotten it wrong. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so this file has now been pushed to the temp directory. As you can see, again, it went very quick. 653 bytes, 6 kilobytes a second, so it's very, very fast. So now, back over on Vader, we've completed our tasks on our virtual machine. And you'll also notice that back on the virtual machine, we still have that tar file, right, which has been compressed with the bzip2 utility. So we have all of our scripts, we have everything still here. But now, over here on Vader, if I cd into the temp directory and type ls, you should see, where is it at? .tar. Where is it at? I can't see it. Underscore lab9.tar. 135B25. There we go. We're at the very top. All right. So there's the file. CSI135B25 underscore lab9.tar.bz2. Okay. So that is how you would do all of Lab 9. Let's go back up here and make sure. Oh, actually, it said, please send me an email letting me know you're finished. So let's walk through that. You should be experts at this by now. So mail, we'll say -s, and my lab number 9 assignment is complete and in the temp directory. It's a pretty long subject line. And you're sending that to TPB. My assignment for lab number 9 is complete. Okay. So now as the teacher, logged in as TPB, I have new mail, and here you go. My lab number 9 assignment is complete and in the temp directory. And that is it. So that is how you solve all of the steps for lab number 9. It's also how you move files back and forth between the Vader system and your virtual machine. Now, I'll actually show you one more thing. So if you own a Mac, you can actually pull up a terminal window on your Mac and bring these same files over, because underneath the Mac operating system, at least the GUI portion, right, you have the Unix operating system. So if I was on my Mac, I could also SCP files over from Vader. So I would say, whoops, CSI135B25 at vader.aacc.edu, and I'm trying to remember, we did copy it into a directory somewhere. I think it was AACC Lab 9. So what I'll do is, let me go back here. I'm going to have to get the absolute path name to that file. There it is. All right, so I'm actually just going to go ahead and SCP it from its original location. I think I did put it in my home directory, in fact. But we'll do it this way. You can see that this works as well. So basically, I'm going to SCP the file from its original location down in the temp directory, multiple subdirectories, and I'm just going to put it in my current working directory, and this again is on my Mac. So again, it's going to add the RSA key, and it's going to ask me for my password, so we'll type that in. I hit enter, and as you can see, we get that same 668 bytes. So if I were to type ls-lai on in-class activity, whoops, sorry about that, on in-class activity, you can see that there's that file. So let me check and see if you've got, I'm pretty sure that bzip2 is on the Mac. It is. So if I were to bzip2-d to decompress this file, in-class activity, and then let's do a tar tvf, and let's see what's inside that file. There you go, the 5 scripts. So not only did we cover moving the file from its original directory into your home directory, we also covered how you would take that file, move it over to a remote VM that you've got on your external hard drive, or, as we just showed, how to do it with your Mac system, how to uncompress the file with the bzip2 utility, how to untar the contents of the file so that we can get to the actual text files. We also went through 5 troubleshooting scenarios with scripts 1 through 5, correcting multiple syntactical errors. We then tarred up those 5 working scripts on the virtual machine and then moved those scripts back to the system Vader, and we put them in the temp directory. Now, you could also make a copy of that file you place in the temp directory and keep it in your home directory if you wish. This is going to be very similar to the final exam. When you report to class on December 11th, Wednesday evening, December 11th at 6 o'clock, there's going to be a file name written on the whiteboard. Your job is going to be to locate, your job will be locating that file name, locating that file which has been written on the whiteboard on the system Vader. You're going to have to move it over to a virtual machine, and you can pick any of the virtual machines you've been working with so far, whether it's Mint or Fedora or Ubuntu or SUSE. But your final will be done on your virtual machine, and then once you're complete, you'll call me over and we'll take a look at it on your virtual machine, and that's where it'll be graded. Okay. I hope this answers any questions that you had for lab number 9. If you still have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody not this coming Wednesday. Remember, this coming Wednesday's Thanksgiving. So there's no class on Wednesday night this week. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Safe travels if you're going to be moving about the country, trying to get back with family. And I will see you on Wednesday night, December 4th. Have a great weekend. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone. See you soon.